All right, what's up, y'all, and welcome to another episode of Nice4What, the show where we keep it real, we keep it unhinged, and we talk about the juiciest topics. I'm your host, Treyvin, and actually, we're going to switch it up today. So your boy's filming this one solo. I did say, like, I was trying to have a guest on every episode or so, but, sometimes plans change and, like, things happen. Everybody has their own lives and things like that, so I can't really control that, so... Like I said, your boy's going to film it solo today, so it's going to be fun. You get to know about me a little bit, kind of figure out who I am, stuff like that. So, but let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and jump into this week's episode, I guess. Like I said, I'm your boy. I'm your boy, Treyvin. I'm your host today. So, as you can tell, maybe a little bit nervous on the camera being by myself, but it's cool. This is what I do. First off, we're going to start out with a sponsor shout out. So Melanated Minis, that's the hoodie I got on today. Shout out to the homegirl, Michaela, for sponsoring today's episode. So it's a small locally owned black business here in Seattle. So right now I got on their hoodie. We got the Melanated Minis hoodie. This is the, what color is this? This is the chai color. Actually super soft. This is my first time getting the hoodie. Super soft, very nice material, built well. I got my window wide open right now in my room, and like, to be honest, I don't feel any wind. It's like super windy outside right now because I can hear like the trees and stuff going out. So quality material, super warm. It's got a satin lined hoodie, so your boy got a perm. I gotta take care of my hair and stuff like that. I'm not trying to show off the perm, I swear to God. But your boy got his perm, so I gotta take care of the hair. So of course, with this satin lined hoodie, it actually, it helps. It's not tough on the hair, doesn't make my hair frizz up, nothing like that. So that's actually really different. You don't really run into a lot of hoodies or like clothing that has that in the material. So I thought that was pretty dope. Another reason why I wanted, to hit her up and see if she would sponsor today's episode. So not only that, not only for the color, not only for the quality and the dopeness, but this satin line hoodie, actually, this stands out a lot. So that one's pretty big for me. Like I said, I got the chai color on today, but they got the other colors. They got cocoa and hazelnut too. Like I said, I will drop their socials and stuff, like I do with all sponsors. I'll drop their socials and stuff at the bottom, so y'all can check it out and look and see. Very affordable, nothing crazy. Like some clothing brands and stuff out here, they be charging crazy, ridiculous prices. But no, not with Melanated Minis, not with my homegirl Michaela. She'd be plugging it. She'd be, it's within budget. That's the nice part. So, but yeah, support local, support black-owned businesses. You can never go wrong. And like I said, she's out here in Seattle. So for all my listeners that live here in Washington, she's not far from you. So, yeah. With that being said, let's get right into today's episode. So I'll start out with my own introduction. I realized, like, episode number 1, I don't think I really did much of an introduction. So my name's Treyvin, if you don't know me already, from all the videos and everything. I'm 26. I was born and raised in Kent, Washington. For everybody that lives in Washington or is from, like, the west side of Washington, I guess you'll know where Kent is. Maybe not. South of, like, Seattle, south of Renton. So born and raised here. My family is originally from the Philippines. My mom's from Mindoro. My dad's from Cavite. Again, smaller cities or like smaller islands in the Philippines. So if you know, you know. But yeah, ethnicity Filipino. I've been asked a lot. I guess it's not really obvious because it's in my bio. But hey, man, it's cool. Yeah, full Filipino. Both mom and dad from the Philippines. I've gotten Korean a lot. I've gotten all these other ethnicities. But no, I'm full Filipino. For work, I work at the bank. I can't really say much about what bank or like where for obvious security purposes and obviously like for the things we talk about on this podcast. I'm not going to say where I work. I just going to say I work at the bank. And we'll keep it there. And obviously doing this. So like this is a fun thing too. As much as it's not a job, I mean, as much as it is for fun, of course, this is also something I've been wanting to do. So, I'm going to start it off like that. Went to school, UW Bothell, was studying law, economic, and public policy. Yeah, there's a whole story behind that. If you want to get to know me, obviously, like you can hit me up and let me know. But for all my friends, like they all know what I was studying for and what I wanted to do. But like I said, if you want to get to know me, no problem. Like just hit me up, do whatever. I'm a pretty open guy. um, but yeah, I mean that's a little bit about me. Like I said, born and raised here in Washington, family's from the Philippines. Nothing too crazy. But yeah, I guess for this solo episode, like I said, it's gonna be a little different. Something I haven't done before, so bear with me. But I'll try to make it as entertaining as I can. I'm actually gonna start out with a Q&A. I've been getting some pretty big questions in regards to the podcast itself, and just about myself, obviously. But for the Q&A itself, I wanted to start out with this question. Obviously, it's really good. What inspired me to start the podcast? So me, I actually didn't start it out with the podcast being in mind. I actually wanted it for a lot of people that are into like YouTube or like into just watching shows like that, like Chunks in Philly or like what's another like cut. That's actually the goal that I'm trying to reach with this podcast itself. So, or with this show itself. Hence why it's named Nice4What Show, not Nice4What Podcast. So there's a big difference. I didn't want to name it a podcast because I didn't want to like limit myself to just a podcast. I wanted to let it expand, let it grow. So what really inspired me for this was not only watching those YouTube videos or subscribing and watching those channels or like seeing those people doing what they want to do, but also like as the older I got, you start working a 9 to 5, you're out of school, because obviously, going to college and everything, you're with your friends almost like every day. So you get to see them every day. You get to hang out. You get to do all these fun stuff. But then as you get older, once you start working that 9 to 5, now you're rarely seeing your friends. You're rarely seeing your family. You're rarely doing all these different things. So it's like, what better way to kind of see everybody and kind of do all these fun things again than doing something like this? Now that we're older, we're in like our mid-20s or older 20s, some pushing 30. I ain't gonna call y'all out, but what better way to kind of hang out and just shoot the shit and like be who we are than something like this? So of course, for me at least, the easiest way to do that was starting with the podcast. So hence why I started Nice4What. Hence why I wanted to like invite different guests on every week. Just for that reason is, growing up too, we take it for granted a lot that we don't get to see our friends and stuff like that. So for me, being able to invite or having the opportunity and the privilege for a majority of my friends, especially or friends and family, to be here in Washington, like why not take advantage of that? Why not, quit taking that time for granted that we have with each other and bring them on and bring on a different person every week. Get to talk about fun stuff, get to talk about the things that we usually talk about, this time just on camera, and kind of give like other people that listen or like say, okay, maybe not younger kids, but like giving other people that are growing up kind of like someone to listen to or someone that can relate to them, like for me, the biggest one that really inspired me, not only like there's a lot of different good podcasts out there, like I'll shout out all of them, like UTI, you got 949, you got Suburb Talks, you got Chunks in Philly, you got Shits and Giggles, people like that. But then the biggest one that stood out for me actually was Family Art Pod. Like, a lot of people that have been on TikTok lately, they've been going around, or they've been starting to make their ways around TikTok or like Instagram or whatever. It's a pod of like 4 Filipino cousins, and like they talk about their personal lives, or they'll talk about like different trends and stuff. And that's what really like inspired me to finally like start mine. Because it's like, if not now, then when? But them, for me, like they gave me that factor of like relating to the audience, or like relating to somebody that's living like a regular life, or like living something that's not like extravagant, like they're not like an actor, they're not like, they don't already have that background. So for me, like seeing that, I was like, all right, like this is like, this is something I want to do, like I might as well do it. So, watching them, seeing them grow, I was, that just kind of pushed me even more to start doing what I want to do. So hence why I started out this podcast. The real big reason why I started out this podcast is just to hang out with my friends and just see everybody. Because like I said, we're all busy. We all have our adult lives, you know. We all have our own jobs. Some people starting families. Some people, you know, beginning a journey with their wife or husband or their partner, whoever it is. So, you know, might as well just something fun, something, you know, an outlet where we can really express ourselves and who we really are. So, I mean, you know, my friends and I were all funny behind camera. So why not just show the world and really, like I said, really give everybody just somebody to relate to. That's the biggest one for me. I'm kind of just rambling. But second question is, what is the biggest challenge I faced so far? I think for me, the biggest challenge is because I have a 9 to 5 and like something I'm working full time. The hardest part for me is really been editing. I mean, you know, finding a guest every week, that's pretty hard too. But in reality, like a lot of people are pretty open to coming on the show. Like they seen, especially once the first episode came out, everybody's kind of seen how everything's been going, and they want that outlet too to kind of express themselves and kind of escape from like their lives that they've been living. So not necessarily a hard part of finding guests, or like if I can't find a guest, then obviously I can change it up and do like a solo episode. Like I have no problem, obviously, like I'm in front of the camera, like that's kind of what I do. So but no, the hardest challenge I've faced so far is just the editing process and the post production process. So like finding time is been the biggest one. Because I work that 9 to 5, like I have some of my morning times. Okay, it's not necessarily 9 to 5. Like I started like 11, but like not only having like I just have like the morning time to edit, and then I also have like a little bit of nighttime. But I don't like staying up so late because I wake up so early in the morning to either edit more or do whatever else I need to. So just really like time management has been a big issue for me. And then also because I have, like, obviously I said it myself, but having that timeline now that I've moved to Thursday release dates every week, that's gave me a little bit more time. So making that little change has been a pretty big difference for me. But even then, like, because think about it, like everybody has a 9 to 5 job. Like we're all at that age. Well, at least me and my friends, we're all at that age. So in reality, our only free time is the weekend. By the time the weekend comes and I got like Monday through, back then when I was doing Wednesday releases, I only really had like Monday, Tuesday. So then obviously I had to think about it, and that's hence why I moved it back to Thursday. So giving me the extra day has made a pretty big difference. But yeah, so far that's the biggest challenge I face. The whole guest thing, I haven't really had too much trouble with that. Today is just an exception. Obviously, like I said, things happen. There's obviously outside factors you can't control. So you just got to know how to go with it, go with the flow, be ready for anything. And that's on me as a host, as the person who is running the show to kind of do that. So yeah, I guess biggest advice I have is like, really know how to manage your time, especially if you're doing it by yourself. So, and, also I'll save that for later. But, yeah, so that's for my challenge question. Another good question is, what's the future looking like for the show? So kind of like I said for that first question, Beta Squad and like Chunks and Philly, like that's kind of inspired me to, start the show itself. But hopefully the future doing kind of different skits like that too. So not only having this podcast be kind of like the main thing, but also doing skits like where we're doing different challenges, or like a dating show kind of like Cut, or like, a question show, or like something like that. That's essentially the end goal with this show, and like a reason why I started it. So like kind of working my way up to that, starting with the podcast, doing this for fun, kind of getting our name out there, getting it developed, and then moving it on to what it can be, or what I envision it to be. So like I said, really like working on like different skits, or like, different sections, or like different ideas. Like I have a lot of ideas. Obviously, I don't want to put it all out there, but that'll kind of be one of those things that you just have to wait and see, I guess, for that. But just know there's a lot of different ideas and different plans for the show. Like it's not just limited to the podcast. As much as people love the podcast, don't get me wrong. Like I've been getting a lot of good reviews from everybody. Like, thank you for all the feedback and everything. But it doesn't just stop at the pod. I'm telling you, there's a lot of different ideas floating around in my head. I'm not going to say my big head, but there's a lot of ideas going on in here. And yeah, it really doesn't just start, or it just really doesn't just stop with the podcast. Like, there's going to be a lot of different things. Maybe we'll incorporate vlogs into it. Just really stay tuned and, you know, be in it for the ride. I really appreciate everybody and your support. It hasn't been the easiest start, but, you know, like I said, we all start somewhere. We all go somewhere. So, yeah. Oh, another question is any advice? Oh, okay. So, yeah. Kind of going off everything I just said. So, I guess the biggest advice I could give is, like, really know how to time manage, especially if, like, your center focus isn't just the podcast or isn't just, you know, whatever you're doing with your YouTube channel or whatever. I guess content creation in general, just really know how to manage your time and really have like an agenda in terms of when certain things are going to get done, and then just really live up to that and kind of keep yourself accountable for it. And if you can't keep yourself accountable, obviously, like, try to reach out to a friend, try to reach out to your partner, whoever, just somebody to kind of help you with that and kind of just remind you, or like remind you of the bigger picture too. That's like the hardest one. Especially for me, like, I'm like the opposite. So I always have the bigger picture in mind, but then I always forget to focus on what the task at hand. So, like, I have the bigger picture of, like, this being a whole entire show, a whole entire production, you know, doing those skits, doing those different, like, dating show type stuff. But then I forget to kind of, like, be in the moment and, like, focus on getting established first. Like, I'm still in the process of getting established. Like, this is only episode number 3. So just kind of knowing your place and where you're at in your journey and really, like, doubling down on it. What's the big thing? Standing on business that everybody's been saying, and just really know what you need to work on at the moment to get you to that bigger goal. So like I said, I'm the opposite. I'm like big goal oriented, but then or big goal focused, but then I forget about the smaller things that will leave it up to that big goal. So biggest advice for me, or biggest advice from me is, you know, stay goal oriented, time manage, but also don't forget to live in the moment, or don't forget to focus on what is in front of you at the moment. Don't get too lost in all the bigger things that you have pictured. You know, you all got to start somewhere. So that's a pretty big one for me. Also, like, in terms, another question was, like, what's the biggest advice you have in terms of, like, podcasts or, like, how to get started? For me, and, like, you'll hear it with a lot of different podcasters too, is just do it. Like, just start the podcast. You're never really going to know what it's like until you actually do it. For me, this has kind of been like an idea for a year. There was original plans of what it was supposed to be. Obviously, the people that are involved with that, we know what it was supposed to be. I'm not going to call anybody out. Like, it's not a bad thing. But, like, you know, there's a lot of hesitation. There was a lot of thinking periods or gaps where it could have been made, but then it didn't. And, like, I'm going to take responsibility for that too, because, like, obviously I was the one that thought about it, or, like, you know, I had a say in it, or, like, I had a kind of, yeah, I guess that's the only way to put it. I had a say in it, but then, of course, it never happened. So the biggest advice when it comes to podcasting, or, like, if you're stuck and you don't know what to talk about, you know, of course, kind of develop an idea of what you want to do. Like, whether it's like a free-flowing podcast, kind of like this one, where we have different questions, Q&As, you know, different segments on the show. Kind of figure that out first, get an outline of what you want to do, or just a general idea of what you want to do, and then just start it. Like I said, you'll never know until you do it. Take the big step, take the scary step of, you know, stepping into the unknown is a pretty big thing that I live by. Being uncomfortable is okay. And really just, you know, do what you want to do, and just continue following it. If you never do it, you'll never know what it's like. If you live in this constant fear of regret or this constant fear of what ifs, then it's definitely not going to happen either. So just really take that into account and understand that nothing's going to get done unless you take that that first hard step. And this goes into, I guess, everything throughout life too. Like, a lot of people know me for like being like the whole like I had like a whole fitness journey thing going on. Like I still do. Don't get me wrong. It's just different focus at the moment. But, the hardest step with being like in fitness and having that background is like getting started on that too. Like for a lot of us, going to the gym is the hardest thing. 'Cause we're scared of judgment. We're scared of seeing ourselves in the mirror and like accepting who we are in the mirror and then doing something about it. So that kind of goes hand in hand with it too. But it's kind of the same concept. I guess the advice that I'm giving is it kind of just flows throughout life too. So take that first step, do the damn thing, and start the podcast. Whether it's with your friends or whether it's by yourself. Again, you're never really going to know what it feels like. You're never going to feel that sense of achievement, and you're never going to really feel proud of yourself until you actually do it. The minute I started setting up all this stuff, and once everything kind of showed itself and started to develop, like the amount of satisfaction I had within myself went through the roof, and that is something that I would never trade for the world. Like being able to say that I did this, I started this, and that I'm continuing with it, that's something that's going to sit with me forever. So the biggest advice I can give for that one, is just start it. It's scary. It's hard being in front of a camera. Obviously, like a lot of people, you can probably tell in my voice, like I'm pretty nervous, like as is. As much as I'm in front of the camera, as much as I like host and everything like that, like it's still, every single episode for me, it's still like a whole thing I'm getting used to. So, don't be afraid of judgment. Understand that you are going to get judged. Like there's always going to be some negative person out there, but don't let it get to you. Like it comes with the territory. So just, you gotta expect it. But don't take it to heart. 'Cause again, you're doing the thing that you always wanted to do. That person who's judging you may or may not be in the same field, but who cares? Like they're following their own path. You're following your own path. Who's one to say what you should do with your life? It's your life. Live it however you want to. So that's pretty big. That's probably like the biggest advice I can give in terms of podcasting. The other one is once you start it, or once you kind of understand or get on this whole motivational like kind of timing that you want to start it, really come up with an outline. Like I have outlines now. I understand what I want to talk about, certain topics and stuff like that. Yeah, in our show we tangent a lot, but that's just me and my friends. Like that's where all the juicy, all the fun topics come from. As much as I want to not script it, as much as I want to have an outline of what we're going to talk about and things like that, I like how it's free flowing and how my friends can really express who they are. I can really express who I am. And, we're not hiding anything. 'Cause, I understand a lot of people put on a character, especially if you're like in the content making field and stuff like that. Some people do. I'm not saying everybody does. Some people do, some people don't. But for me especially, like, I love my friends for who they are, good and bad. But that's what I didn't want to tie anybody to a certain persona. I didn't want to limit anybody to who they should be, who they shouldn't be. So, have an outline, understand what you want your show to be about, and then just go through with it. Again, that goes into the whole doing the damn thing, But yeah, having some type of outline did help a lot. Like the first episode, it was there. It was a little messy though. But now, going forward, obviously, you learn from the first one. You do what you need to do, and then you take it on to the second. So, every day is different. Every week's different. It's a learning process regardless. So just know that you're also going to learn a lot as you go. I'm only three episodes in, but I've learned a hell of a lot from not only rewatching, looking at different things, but also like other people. So whether that's other people who started podcasts or like other people who watch podcasts or just, other people in general, they have a lot of input. Take the input. Learn how to take critical criticism well, because not everything has to be personal. Not everything is meant to be made personal. It's sometimes just how it comes off from other people. But understand that the people that are giving you that type of criticism are the ones that want to see you succeed, for the most part. Take the information as you will. Understand who you're taking the information from, but learn from it. And, really be open-minded when it comes to doing these type of things, whether it's a podcast or like just YouTubing or like, content creation in general. Of course, I can't speak much on content creation. Like, yeah, I make content, but in terms of like Instagram content creation or like TikTok stuff like that, like, a little different area, but I can kind of give a general like idea of general advice as to like that field. But just be open-minded and don't be closed-minded off to everybody. Like, learn how to see it from different perspectives. Learn how to be accepting of the different perspectives. Not everything is going to be perfect. Everybody has a different opinion or like different view of what you're putting out there. Just be open to it. Don't get too defensive right away. Just understand that sometimes people just want to give you advice, and whether it's going to be good for the show, whether it's not going to be good for the show, like that's on you to kind of take in and like understand yourself as the creator. But for the most part, especially from like what I've been getting, a lot of the criticism and stuff, it's been good. So, like I said, but understand what you're taking in, understand what you're putting out, kind of understand the stance that person or whoever is giving the advice to you is coming from. If it's from a negative viewpoint or like a negative stance, then all right, that's different. Like, obviously, you don't want to take in somebody's advice that's just coming at you from a negative angle, because then, like, that's not gonna help you in the end. You're just doing it to like people please, and you don't want to do that. You want to put out the content you want to put out. If it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, that's not your audience. All right, like as simple as that. Easier said than done, of course, but as simple as it is, it really is that simple. Learn what you want to do, stand by what you want to do, and just go ahead and do it. All right. Something different, actually. I had a very good idea from my cousins. Shout out to them. Shout out to Ben, Karen, Mark. Since I don't have guests on the show, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to play a game with myself, I guess. It's called We're Not Really Strangers, but this time it's a self-reflection edition. So I'll do like a couple cards from the deck. I won't do the whole game, but I'll do a couple cards from the deck. Kind of the same thing as Q&A, but this time it's, it's random. And then just kind of give my opinion. Oh, I can't talk. Give my opinions and like answer whatever it says on the card. This just has, this game has just like a bunch of questions on the card, and then you just answer it how it is. Usually it's played with a group. Usually it's played with whoever, but because I'm riding solo today, I got to go ahead and do this. So we'll go ahead. I'll draw a couple cards. We'll see how this goes. So for the first card, what have I accomplished recently that would have shocked me a year ago? So that's the card. I mean, obviously, like, for me, it's the podcast, or like the show, starting the YouTube channel, actually doing all these things. If you were to told me a year ago that I'd be doing this, I probably would think you're crazy, because I don't know. Like, yeah, I have my vlogs, and yeah, I have like my content creation on Instagram or whatever, but hosting a weekly podcast with friends and being able to do a whole entire production like this, I would have definitely thought you were crazy. I don't think that this would be something I could even see as like a future, to be honest. If you were to tell me that I'm starting a podcast and this would be something I would do as a like something in the future as like a career choice too, I would have thought you were crazy. I don't know. As much as I feel comfortable in front of the camera I get very shy in front of the camera. And when it comes to making content and stuff like that, I'm very shy. I'm also very big at procrastinating. So, or I guess like I never really saw myself as having a creative eye itself. So, like if you were to tell me that I was making a podcast and doing this or starting a show that would then progress into doing different skits and stuff like that on YouTube, I really would have thought you're crazy, because it was never anything that I really thought about growing up, and I don't think I was ever really into like creating content in general. But now that I'm actually doing it, like obviously like I proved myself wrong. So yeah, if you were to tell me this a year ago, I definitely would have thought you were on something. I guess another thing that I accomplished recently that shocked me too was just like growing into this person that really sets his mind to his goals and like actually follows through with it. A year ago, I was definitely, well, actually a year ago and then prior, as I was growing up, like I'm definitely a person that had a lot of different ambitions and different things I wanted to do. But when it came to the following through part, I was definitely a person that I'll talk shit about myself. I was all talk. So, like, as much as I had these different ambitions, as much as I had all these different things I wanted to do, in terms of following through with it, everything would always fall through the cracks. That's not because, like, it never worked out. It's because I never actually did it. So, again, that goes to the whole podcast thing. Like, if you were to tell me I was starting a podcast or, like, doing a show like this, like, I would definitely think you're crazy. So, yeah, for me, like, learning to grow and be that person, that's definitely something I'm glad I accomplished or, like, learned within myself, in terms of being or letting my action, like, truly letting my actions speak louder than my words. Because, you know, actions do speak louder than the words. The more you grow up and the more you kind of go throughout life, the things you say, it doesn't mean anything unless you back it up. So I'm pretty proud about that too. Yeah, those are like my top two. Maybe like the top three would be that'd be my top two. I'm not gonna go top three. Not that there's nothing I didn't accomplish, but like, you know, there's a lot I've accomplished actually in the last year. So I don't want to bore you with just like, as much as I like talking, you know, we talk a lot about ourselves on the show. As much as I like talking about different things that happen throughout my life, and as much as I like talking about myself to an extent, I don't like talking about myself. Learning how to be humble, that could be another accomplishment I've reached recently within the year. As much as I say I'm humble, like, again, words speak louder than actions, but more recently than not, I've definitely learned how to be more humble. So, okay, we'll go with another card. What have I outgrown recently, and what am I growing into? Okay, well, I kind of just answered that. So, you know, outgrown the whole words speak louder than, or actions speak louder than words. Yeah, really outgrowing that and letting my actions actually speak louder than my words is a pretty big one. Outgrown, I mean, it's better than it was before, but poor time management, that's obviously a skill that's really important to have when doing this type of thing or running this type of production. So I'm really proud that I've outgrown that. If you were to meet me in school, a lot of my friends can probably vouch for me. Not in a good way, but a lot of my friends can probably vouch for me in a bad way, that I was very bad at schoolwork and not good at studying and stuff like that. Not something I'm proud of, but obviously like gotten better at now. Going through school, I was definitely not the best student. Definitely not something I'm proud of. But yeah, I was definitely big on procrastinating, wasn't passionate about school. So obviously like my schoolwork reflected that. School attendance reflected that. Yeah, going to class was always a struggle. And yeah, like, luckily now, as I got older and like as I experienced different things, um like I'm not saying school specifically, but like just in general, um understanding that, you know, time management is a very important thing, or like skill to have. Not only just when it comes to things like this, but just in general, hanging out with friends. Like, I understand, like, I'm not the best. I can still be late sometimes. And still working on it. Again, like I said, it's a continuous growing journey. So you can give me shit all you want. It's fine. I understand. I still take it. My friends know that too. All of my friends and coworkers and stuff like that. So they understand. I get it. It is something I'm getting better at, but it's gonna take some time. But yeah, at least it's something that I acknowledge, something that I understand. I do. It's just my own personal thing to work on. So yeah, outgrowing that, not fully outgrown, but outgrowing, keyword. And then the other thing I really learned to outgrow is like, people pleasing. So that's been a pretty big one for me too. So like I kind of talked on that. I think it was last episode or the first episode. But being the one to people please and like be everybody's friend was big for me growing up. In terms of where that stemmed, I do not know where that stemmed from, but I was always big on wanting to be everybody's friend, wanting to be liked by everybody. But then as I got older, you kind of understand that not everybody's going to like you, and that's okay. It's kind of just something you have to live with. But it doesn't mean I'm going to be a horrible person back to them. So for me, it's like I'll still be me. I'll still be the same friendly, nice person that I am. But the minute you show me, or the minute I feel disrespected or not appreciated enough, then that's where you'll kind of get, not the stone cold me, but like, I'm not giving you the same energy I originally was, or the same energy I'd give to my family or like somebody close to me. And that's not because I don't like you. It's just, I learned how to better spend my energy and like what I want to put my energy into. And that's for my own personal like reasons. If you're not appreciating my time, if you're not giving me the time of day, if you're like, if I just don't feel appreciated by you respectfully, like I'm not going to give you the same type of energy that I was given in the beginning. Like, my time is valuable. Like, I know who I am, like my own worth and stuff like that. And I don't feel the need to people please anymore. Again, not like I'm not trying to sound like a bitch. But no, like I think we can all kind of relate to that too, especially once you get older. It's like your time is valuable. You don't have a lot of time on this world. And you have your own things that you're working on. So it's like if I could have been working on something, like say I could have been editing the podcast, but we were gonna hang out and then you don't show up to the hangout or something like that, like, or you leave me hanging, or or you're at the hangout and you're like, obviously I can tell you don't want to be there. Like, what was the point? Like, we're all adults. We can all be honest about it. You can tell me that you don't want to hang out, or like, can we move this to another time? Like, that's fine. I'm a very understanding person. Like, I'm the same type of person. Like, sometimes things pop up for me and I got to move the hangout or something like that. Like, I hope you're as understanding, but I know I will be as understanding if the same thing happened to you. You just got to be honest about it. And that's okay. Like, nothing's wrong with that. Like I said, life gets busy and that just happens. But when it comes to, what was I supposed to say? When it comes to me feeling disrespected or my time is starting to feel wasted, then all right, like, obviously I'm going to say how it is and like make the changes I need to for my own personal sake. So, as selfish as it sounds, like, you got to look out for yourself too, because nobody else can look out for you. So, yeah. And then that kind of coincides to like the question that said, what am I growing into? Yeah, I guess it's just learning how to be more mature, like, and understanding that your energy has to be spent in the right direction, or like you'll learn who deserves your time and energy, and then also like understanding it, or like maturing and understanding that like as much as your energy needs to be well spent and distributed to the things that count, you also got to give the same energy back. So, I mean, obviously that's something I'm working on, and hence why I'm working on it is because I realized how important my time was. So then obviously I need to value other people's time too. So they all kind of go hand in hand. And then just, I guess, also growing into a more mature person in terms of like understanding now what I want to do. Obviously growing up, nobody really, unless you really know, but a lot of the times we grow up not really knowing what we want to do in the future. And because like the future is something scary to think about because nothing's ever really guaranteed. But yeah, just growing into this person and growing into who I'm meant to be, I guess, is another way I've been looking at it. Whether that's starting the show or like working a 9 to 5. But obviously I know what path I'm heading towards now. So I am proud of who I'm growing into. Yeah. Okay, next question. What did the people who raised me teach me about love? What lesson do I want to keep, and what do I want to challenge? I like that question, actually. I'll talk about my parents, because, I mean, obviously, like, growing up, I've been fortunate enough to have both parents. From them, like, watching them throughout life, I've learned that love really is, like, a choice and a battle you kind of go through every day. I didn't think of it that much growing up. Like, obviously, I was very into rom-coms and, like, romantic movies. So you see the movie stuff and you see, like, the fairy tale stuff, but you don't actually see the real life stuff until you start to pay attention to it. So, like, kind of seeing that with my parents, like, being fortunate enough to have both parents, like, I've seen the good and bad. I've seen the very extreme lows and the very high highs. I think, at least from what I've at least experienced in, like, the 26 years that I've been alive. But yeah, I guess the biggest lessons I've learned from them, not something they directly taught me either, it's kind of just something I've observed, but knowing that love is really a choice and it's something you choose every day. You know, you don't have to like the other person. You don't have to love that person. You don't ever have to marry that person. Like, you never have to do anything. And that's a very big key word, is like, you don't have to, again, like, choose this person every day. Every day is a choice that you make, or you make choices every day, and, you know, you have to live with the consequences. But when it comes to love, like, that's even more of a bigger topic, or like even more of a bigger, like, take, or hotter take, whatever you want to call it. 'Cause yeah, like, it's something we kind of don't really think about too much too. 'Cause once you're, you know, at least for me, like, I've experienced being in a relationship for a long enough time to get comfortable, and, like, that's not a good thing. Like, it's okay to be comfortable, but there's a point where you can get too comfortable too. So that's been something I've been kind of more aware of now, and, like, understand that it's on you to make the relationship, or put the work in necessary for the relationship to be successful, I guess, in a sense, one weird way of looking at it. But yeah, it's important to choose that other person every day. And that's a choice that you have to make every time you wake up, every time you go to bed, even throughout the day. Love is a everyday choice that you have to make. Nothing is ever going to be laid out for you. Obviously, like, the relationship itself, it's gonna flow, and it's gonna develop however. Oh, excuse me. It's gonna develop however it wants to. But it's on you to choose your partner every day. Is the biggest lesson I've learned, and it's actually a very valuable lesson that I take to heart now. 'Cause obviously, like, I've been in past relationships before, and there's been times where I've struggled with choosing the other person and didn't fight for the relationship and stuff like that. So that's a lesson I learned, like, obviously through my own experience, but more specifically through my parents. Like, it's something I'm since reflected on more recently actually. Because I mean they've been married for like, how old am I? Oh, 26 years. They've been married for that long, and like that's a very long time. 26 years is a very long time with one person. And you're not gonna have good days all the time. You're not gonna have bad days all the time. It's gonna, it's like a roller coaster. It fluctuates. Everything's gonna change. Every day's gonna be different. You're gonna experience different things. You're gonna really be your relationship is really gonna be tested. So yeah, that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned from my parents, or just kind of like observing them and seeing their relationship grow, and be what it is now, but also continuously growing is what I've also been seeing too. And then another big lesson, like I've learned watching them, is like it's always gonna be you and them versus whatever the issue is. It's easy to blame another person or put blame on another person for any issue, but more importantly, like in a relationship, it's really easy to fight the other person. I mean, I've seen my parents fight before. Like, I mean, I guess it's pretty common, but in the end, they're very well at communicating and like talking about that issue, or like understanding that the issue's big now, but it's not gonna be something that it's not gonna go away unless you work on it together. I guess that kind of ties in more to their good communication skills, or like communication skills in general. But yeah, just really doing a good job at like communicating with your partner and talking it through, and like understanding that it's never you versus them, or it's never them versus you. It's always you two versus the issue. Again, something I've grown to really understand and take into account too, especially when it comes to dating. Done definitely a lot of self-reflection, but yeah, it's easy. It's really easy to blame another person. It's really easy to point fingers, because I mean it's kind of in our human nature too to point fingers. But once you learn that, you have to fight for the relationship, and you have to really think about how bad you want it. That's when you'll get that realization that, okay, like, I need to get better at communicating. I need to really understand how this other person feels. Like, it's not just me now. You're really thinking about you and another person, or like, you're thinking about two perspectives rather than one. So that's a pretty big lesson I've learned from them. What would I want to challenge? Like a lesson I've learned from them, or what do they teach me about love? That's a pretty tough question. I don't think there's I don't think there's much I've seen that for them that I'd want to like question or challenge. I guess for me, one of the big things I want to challenge their love, not even their love. Man, that's a tough question. I kind of want to come back to that. Okay, I'll grab another card. What am I wearing when I have the best time? What do I always regret wearing? Okay, very interesting question. To be honest, the best time I have so far, or more recently, has been out on the water. That sounds so funny. But what I was going to say is the times what I've been wearing when I have the best time is obviously when I'm out in the water, so it's going to be swimming trunks and no shirt. That sounds so douchey of an answer, but it's not because of like my physical appearance or anything like that. Like, no, I'm definitely not fit, or like, no, not like that. It's because I like being on the water. I find the water very peaceful, especially if you know me well, or like my friends know me well. Paddleboarding is a very fun activity that I really enjoy, or really started to enjoy. And just being on the water, it's very relaxing to me. Like, I don't know, it's just something about hearing the waves, or like being in the water, especially when it's sunny too. I mean, like obviously, like the times we're out in the water, it's summertime, so it's a nice day out. The vibes are good. Like I'm very into Hawaiian music or like Hawaiian reggae, so that's what I'm blasting when we're on the water, and it just feels very calming. I mean, that could be the nature that like I don't know, some family was born in the Philippines, so maybe that's like island like feels or whatever that I'm like I like, but or like is island vibes that's instilled in me. I don't know, but no, just like being on the water. It's a nice stress reliever for me. I can think easier on the water if I ever like even in the winter time or like in the fall when it's not as sunny out where you can go on the water. If I ever feel stressed or anything like that, I go near the water. So I'm on the boardwalk, I'm sitting by the water, I'm on the beach, I'm doing something. I'm in my car like looking out at the water. There's just something about hearing the waves or like hearing how the water flows that just really calms me down. So it's always like been a happy memory for me on the water. I don't think I've ever had like a bad memory on the water, which is so funny though, cause like I hear a lot of stories from my older cousins that like I was afraid to take showers and stuff like that. But I guess it's a different type of water, different body of water. I don't know. But yeah, I used to be really scared of taking showers. And I would cry about it. So yeah, a little bit of fun fact about me. But no, yeah. For me, like summertime, being out in the water, swimming trunks, I guess, is the outfit that I'm wearing when I have my best time. What do I always regret wearing? I guess the only thing I ever regret wearing, I don't want to say I regret wearing nice clothes, cause I work at the bank, so we dress up every day. Whether that's like suit and tie or like more casual, like sweater vest or something. I'm not gonna say I regret wearing it, cause like obviously I love where I work, cause I love my coworkers and stuff like that. But I mean, maybe just 'cause it's work and I have to clock in and do like a whole 9 to 5 thing. I guess that's the only thing I could ever say I regret wearing. 'Cause now every time I dress up, I associate it with work. Even if it's like something as simple as like a turtleneck with socks or whatever. Like I associate that with work, so I don't enjoy wearing it. Like I mean, I'm very much like a sweats and hoodie type person. Like obviously I'm wearing a hoodie right now. But yeah, anytime I dress up, whether it's like suit and tie or whatever, I'm thinking I'm going to work. So then I'm already not in a bad mood, but like I'm more down in the sense that I know I'm not going to have as much fun. So I guess that's the only thing I can really say like I regret wearing. But yeah. Oh, okay. So going back to the whole the question about love and like what do I challenge from the people who raised me or taught me about love. The only thing I would challenge is I guess the relationship having bias or like not one-sided. I don't want to make it sound like that cuz their relationship isn't one-sided. Like they're very good at teamwork and communicating. But there are times where you can kind of catch like mom or dad having a higher opinion or like wanting it their way or something like that. That's the only thing I would really challenge. Like I understand everybody has their own bias. Somebody's going to want to do something more than the other. And that's okay. Like that's what makes us individuals and that's what makes us different. So it's kind of understandable that they like everybody has that. But just I guess communicating a little bit better especially when it comes to those times and understanding that there's times where you do have to put your bias aside or like put your strong opinions inside and like work together as a team. That's I guess the only thing I would ever say I'd want to quote unquote like challenge in a sense. 'Cause other than that, like, yeah, my parents' relationship isn't perfect, but you know, it has taught me a lot. And that was like kind of the gist of the questions, like what it's taught or what have they taught you? So yeah. I guess that's really the only thing I would ever like think about challenging. Thinking more as like a team rather than thinking you as your own individual and them as their own. I mean, like obviously each person is their own individual, but especially when it comes to the relationship, like not only are you thinking about yourself now, but now you got to think about another person. So, yeah, that's the only thing I would say I would challenge. I'll do one more card. Okay, last question. What have I tolerated from people in the past that I no longer have space for? Oh, I mean, I kind of answered that earlier. So, being taken advantage of, I guess is a better way of saying it. Being taken advantage of and letting them kind of walk all over me has been something I tolerated from people in the past. But I definitely do not have no space for it now. No. Everybody in my close circle, everybody in my friends, or like that are people I still talk to now, like they're people that, value me and value me as a person, and then value my time, obviously. But they're not people that's gonna take advantage of me and use me, and then not give me the same type of effort back. Like everybody that's in my close circle, everybody that I'm friends with now, or like closer friends with now, we value each other. We understand that everybody offers certain things, but we're not going to take advantage of that. Whatever everybody else gives out, we're going to give it right back, if not 110% more. So it's a give and take, but it's a equal, if not, everybody. It's an equal give and take, I guess. That's the only way I can really put it, because the other way sounds bad. But no. Yeah, I used to be able to endure that and let people kind of walk all over me, or like be a pushover. Oh, that's the word I was thinking of. So pushover. I used to be a pushover. But now definitely not. If I feel that because of my past trauma, the minute I feel that, like, I'm not cutting you off, but just understand that I'm not giving you that. I'm not giving you that leeway. I'm not giving you the chance to even do that to me. So, yeah. That's the only thing I really. What have I tolerated? Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing for me, especially, is just being a pushover and letting people take advantage of me. Maybe the other part of that, or another answer to that, could be like, I guess being in a relationship and like having those, what is it called, like rosy glasses that people say or whatever. I guess that kind of corresponds to pushover too. But like when I'm in a relationship, obviously, like I have the rosy glasses on, like I could easily be taken advantage of in terms of, easily be taken advantage of in terms of like them telling me things they like to do, things they don't like to do, and then me sacrificing myself for them. That's a pretty big one for me, or I used to do, obviously. Like, because when you're in a relationship, obviously, like, you're not going to see the outside perspective. But luckily, like, again, with my friends, like, why I hold them so near and dear to me is, like, they'll call it out and they'll tell me what it is, if I can't see it. So, yeah, that's, like, another thing, too. Not, like, trying to say I've been in bad relationships, because no, like, I haven't. But that's kind of something I caught on to recently. So, yeah, that's kind of... Yeah. Those are the only two, like, real things, I guess. I guess it's only one thing, because technically, like, it'd be a pushover in a relationship too. But yeah, those are that's like the biggest thing that I really used to tolerate. But other than that, no, I'm definitely grown out of it. Definitely became a different person the best way possible, especially for myself. So yeah, there's a little bit about me. That's that's this week's episode. Again, sorry I don't have a guest on this week. And sorry the vibe's a little bit more serious than it was the past two episodes. Stay tuned for next episode. I promise next episode will be a little bit more upbeat, kind of laughy, fun stuff. You'll have to stay tuned. I can't give too much details because it's got to be a surprise. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. Like I said, I realized that I haven't really given too much information about me as a host. So that's who Treyvin is a little bit, kind of get into the mind of me. There will probably be a little bit more solo episodes in the future. Obviously, like I said, sometimes, you know, sometimes guest plans falls through and then I have to think on the spot. So if I have to, then I'll do another solo episode and we'll do something different, whether that's, doing another card game or answering more Q&As or like doing something fun. So like learning a craft or skill. I don't know. We'll think about it. But yeah, yeah, that's my solo episode. But yeah, thank you for tuning in this week to another amazing and fun-filled episode of Nice4What. Make sure to, like I said, I will. Oh my God, I totally lost my train of thought. That's crazy. When you're doing a podcast alone, look, it's really easy to lose your train of thought. This is me being real, okay? There's no gimmicks, no nothing, like I said in my intro video. But yeah, let me restart. Thank you again for tuning in to another amazing and fun-filled episode of Nice4What. Thank you very much, Michaela, for sponsoring this week's video. Again, very nice hoodie. It says, I don't have the best camera angle for it right now, but Melanated Minis is her business. Again, small, locally owned black business here in Washington, Seattle specifically. But make sure to check out their Instagram. I'll drop it down below. Their website will also be down below too. Again, very comfortable hoodie. Very good quality. The color scheme, amazing. I love this color. The minute she gave it to me, I was like, I'm ordering like 3 more or something. And then seeing this satin line hoodie, like that makes a very big difference. Cause like I wear a lot of hoodies. And then when I put this on, like obviously it's better for my hair. Again, here's me talking about my perm, but I love my perm. Okay, let me live my life. But yeah, the satin line hoodie, very big difference. Definitely get one. Like I said, budget friendly. It's not overpriced. It's not extreme like a lot of other companies that are out there. So again, thank you to my sponsor, Michaela, or Melanated Minis, for that one. And then please also make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the show. If you haven't already, follow us on all social media platforms. Because if you aren't following us, like, what are you doing? Like, yeah, we just started, but we're going to be the hottest show out there. So just, stay tuned for the big plans, like I just said. But yeah, thank you again, everyone, for your constant love and support. This has been another Nice4What Productions, and we'll see you again next time.